welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast. It's Lucky Time Explosion.
Wow. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Monday, everybody.
Happy
Start
Monday.
of the week. This is Lucky Time Explosion, your source for art news, art chatter, interviews with local artists here in New York City, and it's made possible by Solus Studio. Come check us out, get your prints, framing, all that good stuff. We do it all. We also show art. We have an opening next Tuesday, too. Tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. Next Tuesday's tomorrow.
God. Next Tuesday is literally tomorrow.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. You know what else is crazy?
What?
Some art headlines. Some
Oh
news we
my
got.
God.
Actually, this is my favorite one. This is from Art News. Vienna museums have opened their doors, and they're getting rid of their ticket admission price for Taylor Swift fans because they had to cancel a concert due to safety concerns.
Right.
So now if you're a Swiftie, you can go get some free art education in Vienna.
They should hand out free Vienna fingers.
Those little sausages.
Yeah,
I love those little sausages.
They're sausages? I thought they were like, don't they make those like cookies with the cream in the middle?
That's true.
Is that called Vienna?
I think those are lady fingers, but Vienna, you might be right.
Well, they might
we have a European with us today.
Yeah,
we should probably
maybe you can help us. Yeah.
Joining us today is Esther. Oh my God, I'm going to do it again. Boesche.
Boesche.
I got it right. Yes. So Esther, you came from Germany in 2013 to New York?
Yes, I came from Germany to New York in 2013 as a photography student.
Photography, huh?
Photography.
Let's see. Talking to your mic a little more directly, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. So you came to study photo?
I came to study photo. So at that time, there was the switch between analog and digital technology in photography.
Oh, yes.
And photography in Germany, I'm probably not supposed to say that, but photography in Germany was dying a little bit.
It's kind of dying everywhere at the time.
It was kind of dying every a little bit, and there was a lot of confusion.
When you say it was dying, do you mean it was dying like an art form, or was it film itself? You're talking about?
Well, film was dying. So partially, there was a lot of conflict between people who were into working digitally and people who were valuing analog photography.
What do you prefer? What do you prefer,
away.
digital or analog?
I like both for different reasons. Huh?
Yeah, they have their uses and reasons, right?
So digital is very practical and very affordable. So it means everybody can do it, and it connects artists, but it connects everybody. Like everybody loves everybody loves photography.
Do you think everybody should do it?
I think everybody should do it.
Do you think everybody should make art?
Hmm?
Do you think everybody should make art? Did you see Exit Through the Gift Shop, that movie?
No.
Okay, so Banksy made this movie. Also in the headlines is
headlines
Banksy.
right now.
Yeah, he's in the headlines again because he's done a few different pieces around London following the anti-immigrant demonstrations and counter-protests, and everything's popping off over there. But he made this movie called Exit Through the Gift Shop, and the subject of that film was a dude we met at
Very
DTR.
nice man.
Yeah, Mr. Brainwash, who actually is related to the Art News headlines again because his cousin, Space Invader, who's showing art at the Olympics now.
I think it's kind of cool, but
and that was his cousin. That's how we got to meet Banksy.
Has the guy who created Space Invader ever tried to sue?
What, Space Invader?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the guy who created the game?
Yeah.
No, I don't think you can. I think as an artist, you have a lot of leeway there. Although, if it is your only thing, I wonder, you know what I mean? I wonder where the line is. I'm sure we're going to see more of that in the future, right? Like, where does the line go? I know this is a little tangential, but I do remember when Mickey Mouse celebrated its 100-year anniversary, they had a big art show all over the world. Disney put on fine art shows in galleries featuring Mickey Mouse because so many street artists and contemporary artists had used Mickey Mouse, and they couldn't sue them. Disney's notoriously litigious. They would have if they could have. But they couldn't sue them because of parody law and the ability to use stuff in your art that is a cultural, something as basic as Mickey Mouse. And so instead of, if you can't beat them, join them. They had a giant art gallery show, and they invited all these artists who had used Mickey Mouse in their work. That's where our buddy Wizard Skull had like a giant, one of his Wiggle Mickeys was like this in the entrance into the one of the Australian shows. But yeah, so that was other headlines in the news. Banksy was there.
He's in a horror movie now.
Who?
Mickey Mouse.
Oh,
Steamboat Willie.
Steamboat Willie.
Some guy with a Mickey Mouse mask terrorizing New York City. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh yeah, because he went.
Sounds so boring.
It's like the poo.
It kind of sounds like something I'm interested in.
You like that?
I think boring can be very interesting.
I agree.
Did you see the Winnie the Pooh? They redid Winnie the Pooh. Did you see the horror movie? What'd you think?
I'm not surprised.
I mean, the makeup, the mask is pretty creepy. I mean, there's no doubt. Like, do you know about this movie?
Yeah.
The Christopher Robin's, like, he left them and like he went to be a real boy again, and then like he forgot about them, and then he like graduates from college and he has a girlfriend. He's like, I want to introduce you to Pooh.
Yeah.
Not his feces. So he's like, okay. And then what he didn't realize is that when he left the forest, they lost their minds without the direction of Christopher Robbins, and they ate Eeyore. They like became
cannibals.
They ate Eeyore.
Oh my God.
And they're pissed.
Yeah.
They're pissed that he left. They lost their fucking minds without him. And then he goes back and they immediately like bash his girlfriend's head in, and then they tie him up and make him cry. And it's like, Pooh, what did you become?
I love our culture. The second something becomes open source, we can just...
I grew up in the 80s and 90s in Germany.
Oh.
So I love everything that is weird.
So you're into horror, though.
What do you think of the Saturday Night Live sketch, Dieter and Sprockets?
Dieter.
Do you know that one? Because they said they were going to make a movie about that, and they haven't done it.
No, I read about that. It didn't come to fruition, which is a shame because that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
I've been avoiding it, to be honest, because when I was a teenager, we saw in Europe there's a lot of copycats of the American shows. If something works in America, then in Europe it takes a year or two. They're like, okay, we have our own version. Now we have our Saturday night version. We have our Germany's Next Top Model. Does
Germany have a carbon copy of me, like Morgan Jesse Lappin?
Sure.
They should have.
Right.
If not, they've researched.
It's on the way.
However, the main star of the Saturday Night Live show, and myself, we share the same first name.
Oh yeah.
So her name was Esther Schweins, and Schweins is not a good last name.
No.
So when I was a teenager, it didn't end. Let's say it didn't end well for me.
Oh, I got made fun of my name.
I got made fun of a lot. Huh?
I got fun of my name too because my last name is Wisecarver. And people think it's like made up. I got Wisecracker all the time.
No way.
Not the same kind of association though. That's not why you fled Germany and came to New York in 2013 though, is it?
No. I got very interested in American photographers and in the American photography.
Who is your favorite American photographer? Diane Arbus, maybe what's the? Oh my God, Ansel Adams. Do you have a favorite?
I don't have one.
That's good.
So I work very project based. So my interest in other photographers and artists is always very much connected with my own work or what I'm interested in the moment. So
how did you find? So how did you get from photography to what you're doing now? Because right now you're an educator, right?
I am an educator and I am a multidisciplinary conceptual artist. So I've always been an educator. I started. It's kind of funny. So I was an artist early on, like many artists who start as kids. My father had in the 80s. My father had a workshop. like a used car. My father was selling used cars.
Oh.
So, and he had the huge garage, and we had the huge backyard. So it was a backyard
take advantage
in the country.
of
So
that
I took,
space.
so I grew up. My father himself was very
And this
inventive.
is in Germany? Or?
In Germany,
Yeah.
in the 80s.
Does it have
What
the
part
same-
of Germany? What part of Germany was this?
Northern Germany. So I grew up in a very small, let me lie, less than 1,000 people, countryside town.
Nice. Must have been beautiful.
It was very beautiful. So it's a landscape of woods and forest and ocean. So being a kid, it was great. And in the 80s, we were kind of unmonitored. Like there wasn't so much discussion yet about safety, like in the US or
well, the 90s and 80s here is when
our-
the
our
safety
child-
boom
yeah,
started off.
and when the safety boom and our childhood
Danger.
and our childhoods were not so planned.
Yeah, that's good.
So it was more like your parents would send you out in the morning, go outside, and please don't come back before 7 o'clock. Have fun.
Yeah.
So that's what we did.
Is there the same kind of characterization of a used car salesman as in Germany? I'm imagine not, because in America it's very much like you're on TV, you've got a very ugly tie.
No.
A lot of American flags. Tons of American flags.
Crazy deals, used car, come on down, my prices are insane. Like that kind of thing.
No, not at all. No, but yeah, at this time,
How'd you got it? So you got into taking photography because of that surrounding.
That's how I got into making stuff.
Because you had the garage.
Because we had the garage.
Yeah.
And we had the backyard, and there was a lot of nature. And my parents, especially my father, were very encouraging about playing, making, adventure,
Oh,
experiencing.
that's rare. That's cool.
That's rare, but that was the 80s.
Yeah,
And
I
there
had
was-
very encouraging parents as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes I tell them, like, you fucked up. You should have been so supportive about me doing art. You should have made me be a doctor or something. Oh, well. Or I had another kid, so you could try again.
But my parents tried, but luckily it kind of not like the early education and making was kind of stronger.
Yeah.
But we grew up like that, and then I remember every technological invention, everything was kind of a big deal. Like if you live in the countryside and you grew up playing with your friends, and suddenly there was Walkmans and radios and the first video recorders. So that was
There was
a
a
big
lot of
deal,
technology exploding during the 80s and the
early
90s.
90s.
Especially with sound, from audio, 8-track,
Yeah.
audio tape, records, CDs was
Oh
a
my
big
God,
one.
this
This
CDs.
little
Yeah.
setup would blow their mind in the 80s, right?
And
Like,
it's oh my God, everything was kind of mind blowing, and everything was super exciting.
yeah.
Like nowadays, if you tell me, okay, tomorrow we fly to Mars, we're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, finally.
How much is the ticket? Huh?
Right.
So
it's not
like
a ticket. You have to work in the mines. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die in the lithium mines on Mars or whatever.
whatever
Coca-Cola.
it is.
Sexy. It's kind of a sexy way to go.
But in the 80s and 90s, like everything that was technological,
Yeah.
that was surprising and exciting. Huh? And especially if you live in the country, there's nothing much else to do other than making in nature and doing sports, because your parents don't want to drive you to the city every day. So then when these things come in, we were just very interested in them.
Yeah.
And we were just taking everything apart and exploring, and what can you do with
Yeah,
them?
my parents can attest to that.
Yeah.
Similar. I was a little later because I was born in '85. So by the time that I was tinkering with stuff, it was probably the late '90s. But yeah, I had shit all over my room. I would take computers apart, take my toys apart, like try to, build my own computer. And I actually graduated my homeschool because I dropped out in the 5th grade, and then I had to go to education of some kind. You had to get some certificate, right? So I went to the state, and I was in the program for like degenerate kids who got kicked out of school, but I had voluntarily left. But I was in the badass kid group. And they had very low requirements for work. I ended up passing 5th grade entirely by coding their own website. Like I gave them a new website and I coded it in HTML on a notepad, on my Windows 95 machine, and they couldn't comprehend it, and they were like, "Wow, you passed!" And I was like, "Sweet."
But in, in hindsight, on the bad days, groups always more interesting.
Oh, totally.
Like you get the reward.
I love drunk punk
you get the reward later.
It's true. So when you came to New York, were you planning? Did you come here just like everyone else, like me? Coming to make it as an artist and to get your stuff out there.
No. I mean, I was just interested in learning. So what happened? At art school in Germany, I wasn't interested in photography at all. When I thought I'm going to be an illustrator or fine artist. Yeah. And at my art school in Germany, everybody in the first year had to do photography.
Ah, yes.
And I hated it. So I had no conceptual idea. I had no skills other than using photography to photograph my other artwork. Yeah. But I couldn't stand to be so bad at it.
So you hated that you were bad at it than you hated the medium.
I hated more that I'm bad at it than that I was interested in photography at this point. So. But everybody has to do it. So ultimately, I start working. And then over time, I developed my interest. Yeah. And I also developed the challenge is actually something that I like.
It is that's something that I see a lot now, too, which is like the idea. You say you're a conceptual artist and multidisciplinary.
Yes.
To me, when I hear that, and when anyone says it, I always hear like that just means you like to explore and you like to experiment, and you're not ready to peg yourself on one way or another. And I think that that's a good thing. And I think that what you're talking about, how you had to do it, and then you learn that technique, and then you move on and you develop something more interesting after that. Right now, I see a ton of kind of like anti-intellectualism, anti-conceptual art, anti-abstract art sentiment, and I think it comes from this misconception that they didn't learn how to paint. That they're not moving on from learning the technique, and they're not experimenting beyond the techniques, but they just didn't bother at all. And I don't know. Does that ring true for you?
Yeah, in some way. So. I think that they might have a point in terms of maybe we have to rethink how we educate,
or what we consider beauty,
or what definitely also what we consider beauty. But I think wisdom and education does have meaning.
Yeah, definitely.
Huh? Yeah, like there is something to say about quality.
Do you think as an art teacher that you feel like we're in trouble art-wise, like teaching kids like art, like you look around you and you're like, oh man.
I think we are in trouble because I think art is more and more undervalued.
And it continues to be that. I feel like maybe our country is still, like every year it gets a little bit worse. Art is undervalued, in education specifically.
In the US and in Europe. But I think the issue is that in many schools and many places, I feel art is taught wrong. I've been an educator for over 20 years. And what you see in many schools is that, and in many art schools, that children just follow a blueprint. And then you have the exhibition. I live in Park Slope. We have all these art after school programs that are very popular right now. And you see they get one project. Every kid does the same kind of art with the same materials in the same way.
Glue the macaroni on the plate.
Glue the macaroni on the plate. Fold the roast.
Yeah. It's like on TV back in the 80s when you
and then on top of it, you have the three best ones, and then it goes like.
That's kind of.
And then kids are destroyed if you're in the last row. No? If you have the last.
It is true. People take it very personally.
But if you but if you really consider, I feel like children's creativity. Yeah. And if you teach art correctly.
How do you teach it correctly?
So you teach it correctly by teaching skills and self-confidence. Like art is a subject, if taught correctly, you can teach math skills because they have to measure.
Right.
You can teach three-dimensional thinking.
You're saying art should be in STEM.
I think art should be in STEM, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we should develop better concepts on how to teach children art.
Wait, that means we have to rename it then. It has to be STEAM.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah. Science, technology, engineering, art, and math.
Yeah.
STEAM.
I think a lot of people would object to it, but I argue that it's because art is misunderstood. So because
why do you think that is? Why do you think where do we go wrong?
Because we haven't discovered yet, for some reasons that I do not understand, how much art can teach children intellectually if taught right. Huh? And I'm not talking only about math and engineering skills and measuring skills, but also in terms of social skills and self-confidence and collaboration skills.
I'll tell you one thing, you know, just hearing the word soft confidence in the context of learning art, you know, it's like, that's one thing I've noticed is even in artists now that, you know, we work with a lot of artists who are probably like 10 years younger than us. Man, is the confidence not there? People are cripplingly self-conscious about anything, and even the people who are good at it, you know, the people who have a natural talent. I feel it's
holding somebody back.
It's holding so many people back, and like I don't understand why they care so much. Like where we have like this. I think it's a duality of art being held up in some regards as like the pinnacle of society. And therefore, it's the person who is doing their first ever figure drawing sketch is comparing themselves to that. And they're like, you know, and then they just immediately start beating themselves up because they're not Michelangelo or Picasso in his youth immediately.
Yeah, but,
you know?
but that might have more to do with the art market and the clang values than what art is. Huh? And art is so many different things for so many people. I think everybody should make some kind of art. But I would also consider a gardener as an artist or a chef as an artist. And they don't do visual art, but
well, not totally. There's a lot of visual art in the cooking.
It's a saying now.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, as long as it tastes good, it's
gotta taste good too.
But it's also for me art, or the kind of art I like. Provides a connecting, transformative experience. And we can do that through visual art, but we also can do that through music. We can also do that through providing a beautiful garden. Huh?
Yeah.
So, but these things, of course, you cannot sell for they're not an asset in that sense. You cannot sell them for millions of dollars. So
it's interesting, right?
It's a discussion.
The millions of dollars, the art market stuff. It's like that stuff is it's like music. It's like artifacts. It's like selling archaeology. It's like selling what was important then. Now it's where, like, you know, I'm sure, like, you know, back in the day when Rothko was kicking those out, they weren't worth $42 million. Like, you know, no one cared immediately, and now they are. And people, I think people mistake the time that passes and the recognition that comes over the passage of time. They just like forget about that.
I wonder if there's any crazy like art teachers out there that like steal their kids' work and say it's theirs and then like bring it to an exhibit, or just like,
hey, giving her ideas,
straight up take all the kids' work and sell it on the side. Like, where did my drawing go? But like, it was great, but you don't need it back. You can do much better, and you will. Oh, you will.
I think it does happen. And well, I have to be honest. I think children are sometimes the best artists. Because they don't overthink stuff, and they come up with shape and forms and ideas.
True.
Magical.
I have a great book called "Why Cats Paint."
Oh, I've heard about that.
Yeah, there's Why Cats Paint and Why Paint Cats. The first one is about cats that make art. And people like put up a little sheet and they dip their paws in the paint and then they go crazy. And I don't know if the book's completely bullshit, but there's one called Bootsy, and he's got like a snarled little tooth, and it says that he's a transreductionist, meaning that he paints and then he rips them down, and then like that is they give it a funny title, you know, and they And then he sold $50,000 worth of art.
Really?
Apparently, yeah.
The cat.
The cat. Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, I mean,
Snaggletooth.
he's not showing up, like getting the check. But
Well, that's kind of messed up because the owner is just taking the cat's fucking money.
I mean, I guess I assume that he's getting some nice like whiskers, some
I-
extra
he probably
fancy
has
fees.
Could
good
an
situation.
could an animal that's not a human have a bank account?
No, but they can be the
Like,
mayor.
could a cat? They
You
can,
know,
excuse me,
They
what?
can be the mayor. Like we have a town in America, in California, that they elected a dog as the mayor.
Amazing. Well, I wish I was a cat. I'm more.
You're
into-
a cat person.
I'm an advocate for everything regarding cats.
You love the internet thing.
I just
the
was-
internet
I love
loves
the
cats.
I would
internet.
love to see the daily operations that this dog has in
I know,
regards to
right?
like performing as the mayor. I want to know. I want to know. I want to see this.
That's my official
Does it dress
political
up in a suit?
position. Yeah, no,
Because
they
didn't
do. They put him in a little tie.
They do.
Yeah.
Because wasn't there a whole thing? I forgot the Democrat that refuses to dress in a tie. I forgot his name.
I
He's
don't know.
he's a tall dude, and he's like, I don't want to like dress like this, and he shows up in like basketball shorts and like
Oh, you're talking about Fetterman.
Fetterman, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but didn't they say that you do there should be a requisite, like people have to kind of dress up if they come to like right?
I mean, I dress up for this freaking podcast.
Well, I'm
so-
saying that the dog has to dress up.
Yeah,
like,
they have to
there's
put him in a tie. I don't think there's any mandates. We also
There's
have a
no
dog. We
mandates.
have a dog mayor here in New York as well.
Really?
Yeah. So he has a little wiener dog. She just retired actually. So they're gonna select a new dog mayor. That's my official political stance, though. Like we like to talk about art here and creativity. So my official political stance is we should hire more animals for high office, and everything will be better.
We just have to learn how to talk to them. But
Yeah,
they're quite
eventually.
intelligent.
They are. Well, now we know. Have you seen those videos online where they have like the buttons and they put out like a bunch of
Oh
buttons
yeah.
for the dog?
We need Dr. Doolittle.
No, but
He can
but
speak
I,
to the
but
animals.
I'm watching the hamsters predicting stock trades. That's my
Oh,
my things
hamsters
right now.
predicting stock
Yeah.
trades.
I haven't heard of this.
I have some
they do
I
a
have
good
some
job?
bets on some hamsters.
You
right
got
now.
hamster stock insiders?
Yeah.
That's cool. So
They get a couple of buttons and then they tell you what's going up and down.
because you say you're a conceptual artist, does that mean we could see some art about your You should make some art about your hamsters. I think that's cool. I like that kind of thing.
That
Well,
blows
it's
my mind.
Americanus. You maybe.
We do love that. We love our stocks and we love our
Yeah.
furry animals.
Yeah.
What's next for you right now? Like you've been teaching for a while. Do you have any shows coming up? Do you have any stuff going on? Where can people find you and where can people look you up?
So people can find me on Instagram, of course. Esther Boesche is my handle, and on the internet, on my website, or do a Google search. I have a lot of magazine interviews and some exhibitions coming up. I have a newsletter that you can sign up to.
Very nice.
Yeah.
How do you like running your website? This is something that I've been thinking about a lot. Like we're on different platforms. We're on like Spotify and, on YouTube and all this stuff. And it just feels like it's really hard to stay on one. And you're always getting jerked around. They're changing their policies. Like building up. I think that's great advice for young artists is to have your own website, have your own mailing list, like kind of try to control your platform as much as you can. And I'm being a little hypocritical here because I haven't done that yet with Lucky Time, and we're in episode 60. But
it's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time.
It does.
But I am perfectionist, and I like challenging things. So I like it to look and work in a certain way.
It's a very German trait,
it's a very German trait. But it's also and I think that's something that photography taught me. Challenging is interesting. There's always a new thing to learn and to discover, and as an educator and an artist, that's something that I like. And yeah, I like to do things my way.
Yeah, I think we all do. I think
I'm not
that's
the
one,
template kind of.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
one thing that we have in common as artists is that we want to do exactly what we want to do, and it's appealing because that's what we are been told that being an artist is.
And open a conversation. Artists ultimately to.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to continue our conversation here. Thank you so much for joining us. We're wrapping up the free show here on YouTube, but if you would like to see the full hour, please check out our Patreon. $3. Try it out. See if you like it. Download them in the time.
Maybe you feel like subscribing to our YouTube channel.
I don't know.
Maybe
Do that maybe if you like this. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us. We'll be
It's
back
worth it.
soon.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, okay. Thanks so much. We're back here. Thank you guys for joining us here on Patreon. You're the best. Yeah, so we were chatting a little bit while we were taking a break about selling your art in the city.
And stealing your students' artwork and reselling it. It has to have been done. Someone had to have done that.
Yeah, definitely. You were saying that there's a Reso print club coming up in your hood?
Yeah, in Bushwick, right around the corner. I think it's on Evergreen. I don't leave my room much.
You need to get you out more, man.
Usually I'm in too much pain and I have too many ideas.
There you go.
So I just make stuff.
Also, your art is very time intensive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I had to take a step back because I have no room anymore.
Yeah.
So, like, I can't make more art. Isn't that crazy?
Well, we have a storage
crazy.
facility here at Stola Studio.
Yeah, but that costs money.
Yeah. But
Like some other things. But, yeah, no.
terrible commercial for the business, by the way.
I
You're
just got to finish my gigantic piece, which will happen. I took a lot of shit all the time. I did launch my OnlyFans, though. That did happen. So that's up and running.
Oh my God.
And I only have one person signed up.
It's very bold. You have a single. We have more than one patron on Patreon now.
Yeah, that's way cooler than my OnlyFans.
But you have to see it a little more positive because OnlyFans has like, I don't know.
It's harder for a guy. It's more difficult for a man.
Also, they have like 2 million, 5 million subscribers. So somebody found you within.
Well, I think they're a close friend of mine.
Flip the script.
I think it's a close friend.
But yeah, you should.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, Esther's right, man. You gotta get positive. You gotta attract what you put out.
Otherwise, you're not gonna make it. In
Ah.
New York.
Well, I have to do a show. I need to do an exhibit utilizing those shots. Basically, what it is I've combined nudity and collage.
I think I've never heard that before.
This is something new. And I've done my research. There are no penis collages
awesome.
except for Morgan Lappin.
Well, I think you're creating this term, penis collage. It's very brave of you to start an OnlyFans in the changing tides where now people are instantly discrediting people for having one.
Well, it's more art-based. It's not as sexual. It's silly and fun and whimsical.
It's whimsical.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's basically just art that's too explicit to go on regular channels.
Yeah, I'm against censorship, man. I grew up listening to Frank Zappa,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Censorship's an interesting issue as we get into the future where everybody's got a loud voice and everybody's got big opinions and it's like how do we define what needs to be censored in society or not?
Yeah. I have a lot of friends on Instagram that are really trying different things to push the limit to see what they can get away with. And it's really interesting to see what you are able to get away with. And I didn't realize this, but I spoke to somebody who does push the limits, and she's a female, and she told me that, it's much different for guys, the censorship. It's easier to get away with being a man than it is a woman with, the nipple thing and the...
Well, the nipples, yeah. Yeah, I mean that makes some sense. But you can walk around topless as a woman in New York. But there's a reason nobody does it. You know what I mean?
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
I think car accidents.
No, I don't think it's
right.
No, not car accidents. It's probably the sexual harassment, which you get anyway in your clothing.
I'm such a gentleman. I would never even think that to begin with.
No,
that's why I said car accidents first.
There you go.
But there would be tons of car. Imagine just driving around Manhattan and you're like,
it's because you have to get used to it, If everybody was naked all the time, you wouldn't care
there
more.
be less car accidents because people slow down?
Maybe.
But I'm amazed. So I live in Brooklyn, and traffic has been crazy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of competition for space.
Yeah.
And generally, I mean, New York has always been a fast-paced city. We know that, and I think that's something. In some ways, we like that as New Yorkers. We get
I love that about it. That's why I'm here.
But I bike, and it's terrifying.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was about to say I am so afraid of biking. I just
Oh
don't.
my god.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm serious. I too many ghost bikes.
I ride a one wheel
Yeah.
throughout
You're
the
crazy.
city.
No, but it's like everybody.
Awesome.
There's no rules anymore. Like there's a complete lawlessness, and everybody wants first, and everybody's cutting, huh?
That's one thing I don't
And-
love about our culture in America
Yeah.
a little bit. Like, I mean, I like the idea of like, radical self-expression of individuality.
Oh, yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't pan out so great.
It-
Like, the
No.
subways are gross and people are rude and, there's not a lot of cohesive community feeling. It's a lot of people out for themselves and you can feel it in the city a lot of times. It's palpable.
It's
You know.
palpable, and I feel America is a country that is very identity obsessed.
It's identity obsessed and
Identity
going through a
obsessed.
crisis at the moment,
Yes.
especially too. We don't know what we are.
We don't know.
We don't know what's going on. We're the melting pot, which is very different than
I just decided from day to day.
Yeah,
I wake up and
there
then
you
I'm
go.
like, okay,
We're dripping all over the place,
Today.
and melting
Yeah.
pot,
It's messy.
and it's getting all
Well, I always said
congealing.
that.
We're
I said
congealing.
that about not even just America, just as New York City. Like if we're talking specifically about New York, people always talking about a great melting pot, and it is. It is a very multicultural place. Even my friends from San Francisco came by, and I was like so shocked to hear them talk about how diverse it was out there. And not out there in San Francisco, but here. They were like, wow, it's really diverse here. And I'm like, what? You're from San Francisco. Like, I grew up in the Bay with you. Like, it's not, what are you talking about? Like, why do you think it's so crazy and special?
Isn't so?
But-
I find it even a little bit addictive. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of one of the things that keeps me in New York.
Yeah.
And that makes me put up with the high rents and the competition.
Yeah, high rent
And
competition.
the lack of workspace to make your art.
Yep.
Because the diversity, you don't have that. Like
You don't get
this
that in a lot of places. It's true.
anywhere else, huh?
But even here, it's still, like I always say, it's not really the melting pot. It's the great Jelly Belly assortment tray of like jelly beans. You know how they have a little tray, isn't
Oh,
it?
yeah.
It's like everybody's in their little pockets. You go over here,
Yeah.
this is that neighborhood, this is that neighborhood,
It's fun what you say because so before I moved here to pursue my photography studies, I came to New York like everybody. At some point, you come to New York as a tourist, and I went all over the U.S. to check out art schools for like over a year.
Yeah.
Because in Europe we have free education, so I thought, okay, if I'm coming to the U.S., if I'm gonna make that kind of investment,
Right.
I want to see where I
Where you're going.
end up. Huh?
Yeah.
So I came to New York a couple of times. I went to other places, and as a tourist, I never liked New York.
You never liked it as a tourist. You had to live here, huh?
I had to live here, and there's so much you don't see of New York when you come here as a tourist, huh?
I think there's also so much
Yeah.
you don't see in New York just living here because we get very like stuck
You
in our
get-
rhythms.
It becomes insular, no? When you have
Yeah.
your job and your community.
When I lived I managed an art community down on Ludlow Street in the Lower East Side
Mm-hmm.
for several years, and I did not leave a 5-block radius
I hear.
ever. I never went past Delancey. I never went south of Delancey, north of Houston, like east of Ridge or west of Allen Street. Like it just didn't happen. I just never.
But
went
that's
past.
and people don't want to. No?
I didn't
That's also
want
a
to.
New York thing.
Yeah, I liked it.
Remember discussions. Nobody wanted to date anyone who lives on the G
Oh,
train.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I understand
2
that
miles
now.
away. That's way too far.
That's long distance out here, man. The density's amazing though, but
But that
it's
is
great.
because it's a city where everybody's so busy with their careers. We have long days. You have a long
Yeah.
commute. So people can. A lot of people try it.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
I remember
want to
I went
stay
on a
local.
date and she
Yeah.
was like, "Oh yeah, and like to hang out again."
Wrong
We're like, well,
neighborhood.
next week it's gonna be, I'm hanging out with my mother, and then so in about 3 months I should. I'm like, "Are you fucking okay?
Yeah.
Goodbye." That can happen. That's
pencil
New
you
York.
in.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
when I was dating for a little bit in New York, I had before I kind of whittled them down. I had a period of like 4 or 5 months where I was seeing 4 different people, and I swear they were doing the same thing. They were seeing 4 other people too, and it was a schedule. It was like week 1 was this
Week 1 was
person,
this,
week
week
2
2
was
was
that
That
person.
would stress
week
me out.
3.
Like I could never
I
see
cannot.
more than
I'm
one
European.
person.
Yeah.
I would be like, first of all, I feel guilty because I'm a Jew. I'm automatically like, but I talked to this other lady and she's nice. So like I feel bad. That's A, but also stressful.
Oh my God, you have to manage
Stressful.
a lot of information.
I remember I
and
was
timing and,
overhearing this conversation. This guy in the bodega talking about how difficult it was to like deal with a relationship with 2 women in his life, and I'm like, man, one is pretty rough.
One's
Like, why
enough
would
is
you
one.
even like?
I also feel like one guy's seen us, but
Definitely.
I'm European. We don't have this concept. I mean, it's changing because
What concept's
Berlin
not in
and
America's just
media, this is
poisoning
one
the
change.
rest of the fucking
what,
planet.
what,
It's like-
what concept?
The concept of you dating several people at the same.
I would think that was very
It's
European.
very efficient. No, that was
No.
very confusing to me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Stressful
what
for
is
me.
it? Stressful.
I don't get it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like auditions, you know? It's like you're auditioning them.
I mean, it's very efficient. That's kind of a New York thing. I understand
Yeah,
that
it's
part
true.
now.
It's true.
It's like when you get older and you're
I-
planning on building something with somebody,
Right.
and then you spend a year, spend another year, and then you discover, oh, it's not the right person. You have to restart again.
Yeah,
so
right. So you might as well start
Can-
building
can
with
be
7 people at
problematic.
once and then figure it out. You know, one
On the
thing,
way, not for me, but I understand.
one thing that I see going away from the city that I miss is like rude shopkeepers.
What's a shopkeeper?
Like a shopkeeper, like someone who like anything. Somebody has a bakery, somebody has a
Oh,
store.
yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
any
Kind of like the soup Nazi, like
Yeah.
no soup for you.
like the soup Nazi. I love
Oh
that
my
because
God,
like
yeah.
when I walk into a place in New York City and it's old and I walk in and the person's like, "What do you want?" and they're mad rude to me, I'm like, "This is gonna be good." If they're super mean to me, I know that this is like so good because they can treat their customers like this and they're still in business. Nice. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
And now everyone's imported the West Coast kind of philosophy of like customer service, which is like nice.
I wish.
But
You know, I have to be honest. When I came here,
yeah.
I come so I grew up in like 700 people countryside, northern German village. Then moved to a little bit larger city for the arts. That was kind of like 50,000, 70,000
Big jump.
people. So the big jump. And then I jumped from there to New York.
Dang.
So when I came here, everything was
Overwhelming.
Yes, it
It's a
was
lot of energy,
overwhelming.
a lot of
but
energy.
it was so interesting.
How did it
For an
reflect
artist,
in your
it was like,
artwork? Do you think
oh
it
my
came
God.
out in your artwork?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Like it was very transformative. The diversity.
What did it
and
do
the
to you
accessibility.
specifically
It was very.
to your work, you think?
So, New York makes you very professional.
Mm.
But the exposure to the diversity. So I came here. I felt like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah.
I loved everything. I loved the diversity, and I loved everything that I hate now, and including the rude shopkeepers. Because when you're here 10, 15 years, it's not some stuff is just not so entertaining anymore. You
still
become
like
in
it.
New York. I still like it sometimes, a little bit.
I'm hoping to be one day. You know, that's what I'm
I like community. I like chatting with people. That's not the New
Yeah.
York thing because everybody's
No.
always in a rush.
Yeah.
And you can sense I'm very chatty, so I'm like.
I feel like there's a
I have
lot
to
of-
go to New Jersey. They
Yeah, New Jersey's great. You can't. Once you go to New Jersey, though, you're never leaving it. Like you can't leave it.
Well, I didn't hear about
They
this.
tax you the hell out of if you try to leave. If you like buy a house,
Oh,
and
you
you
can't
leave,
you
they're
can't
like,
afford to leave.
You can't
huh?
I'm
afford
like,
to leave.
why would anybody want to stay in Jersey?
Because why? That's what they know that, so they tax the hell out of you if you try to get out of there.
They call it the armpit of Northeast.
Oh, that's so rude. A lot of good things come from Jersey,
Yeah,
like
you
Troma.
Yeah, like a no, Troma's
Does it come
Queens.
from Jersey? Oh, Queens?
yeah.
I thought it was from Jersey.
A lot of emo bands from Jersey.
Oh yeah, well, that makes sense too. I don't know. Jersey is funny. Jersey's like the the little kid like people pick on like everyone. There's like such a rivalry, and it's so stupid because it's like basically the same thing.
I
Like if you go
know.
to Hoboken, you go to like Jersey City, and then you go to the ferry and come to Manhattan. It's like you're in the same cities.
The
It's
only
very
the
similar.
coolest thing Jersey has is WFMU.
Oh.
That's the coolest thing Jersey has.
I'm not a native New Yorker. that's
But
not-
No.
WFMU is
There's
one of the
very few.
coolest radio stations on the planet.
Yeah.
WFMU.
No.
Oh
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
You know WFMU. You're a big fan.
I don't listen to the radio. Are you crazy? I don't listen to music.
I know that's just.
I stopped listening
I
to
know.
music.
I don't even want. You shouldn't tell the story. It makes me. It brings a
makes me so
tear to
sad.
my eye.
Well, we got to start another band, and then I'll listen to music again.
True. Okay.
We'll
there
do
we go.
that.
That's
why
a good
haven't we?
reason.
Why haven't we played music? I don't know. What's wrong? Do you play any instruments? Do you? You like me? I
Wanna
know you
start a
respect
band?
music as another art form.
I used to. I
well,
learned.
it's like riding a bike.
You used to play what?
Just learned to play the guitar
Oh,
when I
nice.
was a kid.
Nice.
But at the same time, I was also into art and into dancing. So at some point, I had to make a decision, unfortunately.
You had to cut
Wait
one
a
out.
minute. You don't have to make a decision. You can do it all.
No, you do have to
But
cut
no,
some
that
shit
you
out.
kind of
You
have
do?
to if you.
I don't.
Yeah.
Well, you literally cut everything out, so you're already on your track.
Hey, no, I play bass, drums, guitar.
Yeah.
That's
Do
awesome.
it all.
No, I feel like the limiting yourself is important, especially here. And this is something that I'm learning as I
It's
get
hard.
older. It's so hard. and when you have a creative brain and you're always coming up with ideas.
You're interested in everything.
Yeah, and everything it gives you a new idea to do something else. And like I looked the other day at my like list of projects, and I just had this moment where I was like, what the fuck are you doing, Brandon? Like, this is way too much shit. As the kids say, you're doing too much.
Oh,
And it's true.
I have plans for the next 800 years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I said the same thing. I know we got to become vampires. That's the only way for us to accomplish all the
Well,
ideas.
I have
Or
like monumental sculptural ideas
Put
that
our
I've
brain
had
in
for
the
14
cloud,
years.
huh? But then I
Yeah.
don't know.
If I find out
ready.
how to become a vampire, I'll let you know. I'll figure
Yeah.
it out, and
But
then we can just
I
keep
don't
on
know,
making
do,
shit.
Do vampires have emotions?
Yeah, I think
think
so.
so.
It's like
I hope
can you?
so.
I mean, it's like it's all about experiencing.
Yeah, you
Like,
might not be
know?
able to tell
like
it
you
from
can
the
put your
actors in
brain. You
Twilight,
can you can put your brain in the cloud soon, probably.
Or you
Yeah.
have,
But
I would
you,
do it.
you
Would you
don't
do it?
really no.
or you have to be
You
a
wouldn't do it?
Highlander. You have to be a Highlander.
Maybe. I
Well,
have to
okay, what
think
about like
about
the
it.
end of life? Like end of life, would you risk it, or would you like want to go pass on naturally to the next world? Like it depends on, I guess, if you believe in an afterlife, right? If you believe in an afterlife, putting your brain in a computer is a terrible idea, but if you don't, it's a great idea.
But-
How are you supposed to
it's
go to
about-
sleep, though? If your brain goes into a computer, you can't.
you don't
like,
need to
sleep.
go to sleep. You just need to be defragged every once in a while.
Would that feel as good as sleep?
Maybe it feels better.
Because sleep is awesome. You know, you don't want to
Oh,
live.
yeah.
If you're going to go on forever,
I
you-
hate sleeping.
Really?
I hate
Really?
it. Yeah, I
How?
don't like
Oh,
it.
You're
you're
not a good
crazy.
sleeper.
No, I mean I'm a fine sleeper. Like when it happens, I do a good job at
Yo,
it.
bro, are you good at sleeping?
I'm good
shit?
at sleeping, but I don't like doing it, and I can get away. I
Because
can get
it's,
on. it.
it's waste of time, or
No, kind of. Yeah, it's like I have too many projects. I have too much stuff I want to do, so I like to stay up
hear
late
you.
doing
Yeah.
them.
That'll change when you get
and
older.
then I like to get up early because I've got stuff to do there.
So
and
you just don't sleep.
that's part of the reason I'm addressing my list. I'm looking at my list and going, shit, I need to whittle stuff down because I need to start sleeping
make
more.
priorities. Huh?
Yeah, I need to make some priorities. It's one of the reasons. I mean, the bags are genetic, but they're also my habits. I can sleep when it happens, but I don't love it. I don't really like it.
I seek sleep.
You seek
I
sleep
want
all the
to
time.
get out of being in pain.
Yeah.
You know?
You just need to take care of your shit. That's what you need to do. You need to go. You get your robotic exoskeleton. and
Look,
get
I'm,
shot
I'm,
up in the
I'm
back.
saving my shekel.
There you go.
Yeah.
Shave your shekels for your thing. What do you when you look at photography and like I'm interested in talking more about that kind of transition from analog stuff to digital, because do you feel like it's going back the other way now? Because like you have to swinging a pendulum. Like I see a lot of people I get so much shit for liking digital stuff these days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the
had no
younger kids
idea.
are like, they just don't care. Like they have this more conservative bent about like, it's not real art because it's digital art. Even though most artists are working purely digitally now, it's very strange to see.
I don't think it's. I mean, I'm a multidisciplinary artist, so and yeah, that probably came from how I grew up, surrounded by material and my father's workshop, and different mediums have different limitations. There's things you can do with drawing that you cannot do with photography.
Yeah.
There's things that you can do with music that you cannot do with writing.
Yeah.
And I love the creative freedom, but I have noticed that the kids are very interested in analog photography
Yeah.
and vintage and old technology,
Yeah.
and that it gives meaning to them. Huh?
That's true.
Why not? No?
It's a physical thing. It's a physical thing. You know?
I'm obsessed with old technology too. I'm just getting
It's
old
fun.
enough that I was there when it was new too.
and something that analog photography has more than digital photography is surprise.
Surprise.
Huh?
I like any That's why I really love painting with watercolors now. Like every Sunday I go to the park and watercolor paint flowers.
Oh my God, I love
because
watercolors.
it doesn't, it's harder to control.
It's hard to control, and
I like that.
It does things that are magical and interesting and surprising.
Digital is lighter.
Digital's lighter?
Yeah, like
do you
in
mean
weight.
lighter?
Like in weight.
Well, what do you mean?
Oh,
weight?
yeah, that's true.
Like physical weight?
Yeah.
I
Like a
guess.
file, it doesn't weigh that much, but like a photograph can weigh like 0.000 grams.
But if you take a big enough photo, you need a hard drive, and then that has a physical
But
weight.
no,
it
but
has a medium
so,
too.
So he
they're
has
small
he has a
hard drives.
point there.
Yeah.
So as a female photographer, there's a reality to the fact that I'm physically limited. I don't have the same strength and capacity. So when I moved to New York, that was an issue because the American photography gear is very heavy. And it's funny,
Oh, yeah.
in Europe we have very innovative photography gears that's very lighter. Like some of the lens and screens, they're like pop-up temps.
Yeah.
And I love them, they're very light, I can handle them alone. And I came to America and it was impossible for me to get a photography assistant job.
Wow.
Because people know that,
You got to lift the C-stand.
Yeah.
You got to hoist the big camera.
I'm
up
going
on it.
into dangerous territory right now talking about gender.
Yeah.
But he has a point. And digital photography also makes photography more affordable.
Yeah, and accessible. Although,
not everybody can afford a dark room.
Well, the funny thing is, though, it's also like everything. It goes in cycles and has little moments where that's true. Because the other day I was looking at the Minolta. No, it's not a Minolta. It's the Leica. The Leica has this black and white digital camera, the M11. It's $9,000.
But they're really good.
It's
I've
really,
tried
really
one,
good
they're
cameras.
really good in the details.
But it's black and white only. So it's a digital black and white
But you
only
can just,
camera.
like,
for now.
No, but like it's
Then
because
this
the sensor that they're using is like handles black and it shadows differently.
Right.
So it's
That's
like
cool.
if you take if you take a normal like a camera and take a photo and then turn it black and white,
It won't
and
be the
compare
same.
it to the M11 black and white only sensor, it's totally different. But now like you have professional gear that has limitations baked into it because it does one thing better than another. I think limitations are like our friend, and we should treat them good, and we should encourage them more. And it's tough for us, I think, as creatives.
It makes things interesting.
Yeah.
And there is something about struggle and challenge and mastery that. Yeah,
that's why you have the myth of the starving artist.
That creates purpose, I think.
Agreed.
Right. Yeah,
Agreed.
Yeah, you gotta struggle a little bit. You gotta have a little bit of strife, something to deal with, whether that's like actual financial problems, which I don't love. I don't love the idea that like artists have to be poor. I think it's just more common because we have different set of values, right?
But we get other things.
Yeah, we do get other things.
We
Sometimes
get
we get lucky.
adventurous lives. We get.
Yes, agreed.
We have fun. We get to have more fun. I
Like
think.
all the
Like-
people that that wound up staying back in the town that I came from, got married. They look at me like I'm cool now on Facebook.
I mean, it's
Like,
good.
wow, Morgan's
It's
this
like-
artist, and like now I have 5 kids, and I just cry into my pillow at night.
Yeah. Well, some people I don't know. Like I have an idea that people are all inherently creative, and that it's the nature of humanity, it's the nature of our species
In
to be
different
creative.
ways, absolutely.
But then the more I reach out to people and I talk to other people who are not in art, and the people who buy art especially, they're like, there's this real. It becomes a conflict of interest because I can't. I don't want to encourage everybody to be creative because then no one will need to buy my painting because they made their own.
Stay stupid. Drop out of school. Stay stupid.
Yeah, just like stay. It's like the ending of that movie we're talking about, Welcome to the Gift Shop, where
But
Banksy
then
says to him, he
yeah.
goes, I used to say everybody, I encourage everybody to make art. I don't do that anymore. And that was a joke because he had told this guy, Mr. Brainwash, to do his art show, and he went full hog and ended up like altering the street art market, like permanently with his huge show. So that was just an interesting thought. I don't know where I'm going with that. I think I made my point.
I think everybody should make some kind of art. And
Yeah.
It doesn't, or like something. It doesn't have to be visual art necessarily, but it's good to have a passion.
Yeah. What do you think
to be invested in something?
What do you think the highest form of art is? Is there, if you had to pick one? I'm not saying that because I know that's a messed up question because it's a bad premise.
Being a human being.
Being a human being is the highest form of art. Being a good human being, or just
being
a human being?
Being a really good, like Bob Marley.
That's nice. You say Bob Marley?
That's a really tough art.
Yeah, that is a tough art. It is one of the hardest. I like video games. I think video games combine all of the arts. Like that, people don't like that.
In what way?
Huh? In what way? Like, because if you think about it, video games contain almost every form of art that's ever existed. You've got writing and story writing, you've got storyboarding, you've got visual arts, you've got sculpture, acting, cinematography. Like, pretty much every single medium that has ever existed has a place in creating, when you're creating a video game. And then it itself is a new medium, and one of the newest mediums.
Wow, I never thought about that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. And a lot of people don't like it when I say that because they're trying to sell a really expensive painting on canvas.
Yeah.
But and then you look at it and like, so art is undervalued. Like, not really. Like, Halo. If you count video games in the canon of fine art, like Halo made more money than Titanic when it around the same time.
Wow.
And
I didn't know that.
Genshin Impact's made like fucking $8 billion a minute. Like they're killing it right now. It's crazy. It's a really weird.
And these video games are beautiful. They're very intelligent.
And they make like emotional responses.
They address very interesting contemporary questions. I think you have a point.
Yeah, it's getting there. I feel like the world's catching up slowly. Like the Olympics just happened, and we're talking about Space Invader being in the Olympics as well. As somebody who is in that, I'm not in that world. Like I don't develop my own games that much, and I don't have a professional job anywhere really related to it. But I do. I consider myself a big enough fan and like follower of news and stuff. I can see like it's starting to catch up. Like the Olympics just did the esports thing. And it was like last time, I think, actually, like 4 years ago, they introduced esports for the first time. And it was this whole thing because they did a really stupid thing where they didn't just accept esports as they are. They tried to make it more, I guess, mass appeal because like there's a lot of shooting and fighting in video games.
Did they Disneyfy it?
No, they didn't Disneyfy it. They just basically so Fortnite. Everyone knows Fortnite. Yeah. Fortnite's huge. They partnered with Fortnite, but because they didn't want any violence at all,
they have to water it down.
Yeah, and they made it like.
But that's what happens with everything. That's
right.
great, no? At some point, it gets regulated.
It gets regulated, watered
and
down.
And there's something like when remember MySpace. MySpace was great, huh? Yeah. And Instagram and all these things in the beginning, they all were great.
Yeah.
And then Facebook bought it. Facebook has a talent to ruin everything that they buy, huh? You shouldn't say that on tape, but
they ruined it. They ruined it, and I'm simultaneously so mad at them, and also. This actually ties into the Olympic thing. So I'm in VR.
It's a phone book now,
right?
Know? Like it's like a mini website.
But they also
phone book kind of. It's not about community anymore. It's
right. Well, they do some things.
There's advertising blueprints that you follow, and it's helpful. I'm glad as an artist to
have a free business card online.
To have a free business, and it changes the art market, huh? Because more artists have access to the market.
Yeah.
So I love that part, but
I'm like a meta fanboy, but
I like community-based.
Mm-hmm. Community is an interesting thing. There's a lot of online communities, and I think the internet has irrevocably changed what a community is.
What a community is.
Yeah, and now and especially living in New York, we see it a lot because we're around so many people, and you'd think there'd be really strong physical communities, but there's not. And there's and everybody's online and organizing themselves into little groups, And we have to, we're running out of time again. Oh, so good to have you, Esther. Thank you for joining
Great
us
to
for
be
this
here.
episode again. Everybody go check out Esther's website. We're going to put it up here and maybe put some art on the green screen.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for joining us again, and we will see you next week. We love you. Take care.
See you later.